because now that person's like, wow, they've got no personality with me. They're coming in and they're just like business.
Or being passive aggressive.
Or passive aggressive. Like I've even seen where people are like don't even communicate with that person anymore, where they cut off. Hi leaders, and welcome back to the LeadHer Lounge. Today's episode is all about how to lead someone you don't like, which I'm sure anybody who is watching this, you already have somebody in mind of, oh my God, I can't stand working with that person.
Yes.
So we're going to talk through a couple of things that can be helpful, some best practices, and even some situations that we've experienced as leaders, or even just working somewhere where obviously two people don't like each other. So we're going to kick it off with...
Before we jump into the best practices and talk about this, let's share maybe some examples of any situations that we have gone through, because that happened to us as well. Is very common. So don't feel alone in this situation, because it's going to happen and it will happen again, unfortunately, because you don't have chemistry with everybody. You don't share always the same values. You don't have the same upbringing. So it is normal to not connect with people. There are some leaders that are fortunate enough to interview the people they're going to work with and, check all of those things. But there are organizations that they just assign you a team and that's it. Yeah. So you have to make it work.
Or if you're like a new leader on a team, that's what you're given. You're given what you're given.
Yes.
So, yeah, you can't really choose. It's like you can't pick and choose your family. Sometimes you can't pick and choose the people you work with. So.
Yes. And also maybe that helps, because usually you're going to work with people that shares the same values, not just the values, but also the same hobbies and the things that you like. So we talk about favoritism at the beginning of the one of the first episodes. And be careful with that too, because that is the contrary, right? Favoritism and now somebody that you don't like. So those things you need to learn how to balance and make sure that, okay, I don't like this person because we just don't connect. We don't have chemistry, maybe. Or I don't like this person because they're lazy. They're not doing their job. And that's a different conversation. Yeah. We're talking about people that we just don't connect. We just don't like their personality, but they have work ethic and they have integrity, and they finish the things that they promise to finish, so that's a little bit different. Different conversation.
I have definitely in my time worked with people and led people that I don't want to say I don't like them, because I like everybody, but I wouldn't hang out with them. I didn't really want to know or learn more about them, because we didn't vibe together, as they say. So
as the young people say.
We just talked about generations, as the Gen Z says. We didn't vibe well. And it's not to say that person was not a good worker. They were amazing at their job, honestly. But there were moments where I always give feedback every month to every employee, and one-on-ones were very important, as we always talk about. So I would always have a one-on-one with this person, and we just would, the one-on-ones would be short, sweet, and to the point. Whereas with the people that I did vibe really well with, they would be like an hour and a half sometimes, like just really getting into like personal life and your dreams and your aspirations. So my conversations with this person were very bullet pointed of like, here's what you're doing very well. Here's maybe an opportunity for you to get better, because there's always room for feedback and for growth. And what are your goals? What do you want to accomplish while you're here? What's the next step for you in your career? And how can I, as your leader, help you get there? And even though we are not necessarily friends and we aren't as friendly with each other as I would like to be, we still accomplished a lot. And that person was very successful in their role. But it was just, there's always that like, God, I wish that we could connect a little bit more. But you don't want to push it too. When you sense that from someone, I am like a puppy. I want to be up in everyone's business. I want to know more about you. I love learning about people. And that's how I connect. And this person was not open. They did not want to share. They were very closed off. So it was very hard for me to build a connection with them. But I had to also realize that as their leader, that is not what they needed. They were there to do their job. They were there to clock in, clock out, go home, and they did a good job. So really my place was just to kind of guide them and help them get to wherever their next step was, which eventually happened for them. But yeah, it can be very challenging. It can be kind of defeating too sometimes as a leader when you're in that situation.
It is, because we talk about being curious, we talk about being empathetic, and to be empathetic, we want to learn about the person.
Exactly.
If that person is not offering a lot of information, you cannot push. They can offer whatever they can offer. You can grab as much as you can, and from that point you can build that relationship, whatever it looks like. Respect is a non-negotiable.
Yes.
It's a non-negotiable. So you need to offer that respect in order for like to get that respect from them as well. It's not like before when you have a boss and we do whatever they do. Right now, these generations, or right now the work force, how it is currently, it comes from the leader. It comes from leadership, the way that the dynamic of the team is gonna be as well. So respect has to be there, and it's a conversation that you can talk about during a team huddle, or also with each individual, because I think that's important. It's not just the respect that they have towards you, but amongst each other as well. So that I think is one of them, and I like what you say. Yes, maybe we didn't connect on a lot of things, but at least we have that conversation of their goals. Everybody likes to talk about at least their professional goals, or something that is going on and they want to get better, or they want to get to, even if they don't like you, again, because it can be a political reason. It can be a religions, or it can be just something that I read in a book not a long time ago. It was like, sometimes people hurt other people because they're so hurt as well. You know, like people that hurts people is because without reason, is because they're hurt. So it's just like, actually you have to be even more compassionate about that situation, and understand that don't take it personal. Sometimes it's not even about you. Even if you see that they're talking with somebody else and not with you, sometimes they don't have that respect, or not that respect because we want that, but sometimes they don't have that admiration for people that is above them. And it can be anybody. It can be anybody. But they're my boss. I have a different relationship. I don't need their friendship. So sometimes understanding, like, it's not about me. I just imagine it that it's not about you.
Yeah.
It makes you feel better and act a little bit more with, we talk about being genuine, right? You were mentioning about that.
Yeah.
earlier.
So if you're not vibing with someone and you're not liking someone, you still have to give respect. But sometimes I feel like we almost go the opposite, where we're like, so you don't want to be friends with me? That's fine. I'm just going to be nothing but straight up business with you. And that can turn into, you're really disingenuous. You're not very like personable. And that can actually deteriorate that relationship even more, because now that person's like, wow, they've got no personality with me. They're coming in and they're just like, business.
Or being passive aggressive.
Like, I've even seen where people like don't even communicate with that person anymore, where they cut off all communication and they talk through other team members. And that's just it just creates such a toxic environment, not just for you, but for the team.
Keep the communication clear. And continue that communication. It's going to be harder. Of course, it's harder to communicate with somebody that you don't like, because you're like thinking, okay, it's going to end this way. You already kind of know how it's going to end up, but you can't avoid that communication. You can't avoid providing feedback and coaching to that individual. You can't. You are the leader. If not, something else has to happen. But even if you don't like your team member, remember, it's not about you. It's about your team in general, like them or not. So as you as their leader, you need to continue that communication, even if you know you're going to have those conversations. We have those conversations constantly with people that maybe, yes, we probably didn't like them and they didn't like us just because we didn't share mostly values and things that they were sharing. We didn't share those things. But again, they were our team members, and our goal and our purpose as a team was one, and we needed to think about that.
Yeah. I think, too, one thing that we had talked about, and you did touch on it, is if you are having this, like, tough time connecting with someone, or if you have, like, a personality difference on your team, you were mentioning earlier, like, if it's just affecting you, then this is like a you problem and you have to have some one-on-one time with that person, or just, let it go, just have that respect, be genuine. But if it's a personality thing and their personality affects the entire team,
the dynamic
of the team, that's going to be a whole other conversation, because that, instead of like trying to just have a professional relationship with that person, they're now affecting the success of everyone around them. And even though sometimes it's kind of hard to have that conversation of your personality conflicts with the team, and eventually those conversations do end up in maybe separating from the team or going to a different team or leaving the company because it's just not a good fit. And that is really hard, but that's okay, because it's going to be better for the both of you in the long run, the team and that individual, because they don't want to be on a team where their personality conflicts with everybody else. That's going to be really hard for them too, like, being singled out all the time. But at the same time, your team is like, this person is driving us nuts, and they're distracting, or they're making me uncomfortable, whatever the case is. You don't want that person to stay for very long. So if you're noticing that right away, start to have those conversations with whoever your leader is, your HR partner, that kind of a thing, because you don't want to be stuck with someone who is just going to kind of be toxic on your team.
Yes, that's why like documenting all those conversations when you have them is so important, so you have something to show. It's not like one-time conversation and like then you're fired. That's not how it works. You need to have that coaching and that conversation, so you make sure that you try your best. Your team knows that you have been trying your best, and it's just different ways to work. And maybe it's not a good fit even for that individual, and that individual didn't know and just have this job because he needed, but maybe they find a better opportunity or better team as well. So that's another like best practice is like learning when to adjust or let go. So right now we're talking about adjusting. Okay, what can we do to adjust? How can we make sure that we leaders, we are taking that responsibility, and we're talking with this team member, and we try to learn things. Sometimes it's because we don't know anything about them. We don't know how to approach them. So the more you learn, and they, again, don't force that conversation, don't push information for information, just try your best. At least you're trying. And then when to let go, okay, if that relationship is not going to be the best, at least you guys respect each other. You work, they know what they need to do. You know how to approach certain conversations, provide continuous feedback and coaching, communicate the things that you have to communicate, but you know how to be like the best buddies and the best friends. Like, it is not, right now we don't have a big team, but we work with vendors as well. And we consider those vendors as our team members. So we have the privilege to pick people and work with people that we like. We like, and we believe in their values, and we like, we align. Yes, completely. That maybe we're gonna get to that point that we're gonna work with people that maybe not. And that's a good challenge as well, because you're gonna have those people that are going to challenge you
and the way you think,
way you think, and you're leading, and you're like, okay, maybe I need to change some things for different people as well. Again, talking about tailoring that leadership style, and that's going to even teach you. If you take every challenge as an opportunity to learn, I'm sure you're going to learn so much, and take the challenge. That person doesn't like me, let's try our best, but if not, let it go.
Don't push it.
Don't push it, and also don't drain yourself trying to build something that is not worth it.
No.
Just don't.
Yeah. And if you are having a situation where it's either two team members who aren't getting along on your team, or it's you are not getting along with someone and it becomes a little bit aggressive even, I always recommend, there's like actually a process that we use for this with our coaching through Monarch Coaching, but basically the process results in how they are treating you and how you see them is literally how you're treating them and how they see you. So just be very mindful that if you are in retaliation mode, you are going to burn that bridge way quicker than if you just stop and think, okay, I need to breathe. I need to just take a minute. Or I even share with people too, share exactly how you're feeling in that moment. I am really bummed that we're having this kind of conversation, or I'm really sad that we can't communicate effectively right now. No one is going to be like, okay, we'll get over it. They're going to be like, yeah, me too. So it's going to kind of open up a new line of communication of, like, when you're vulnerable like that, that's where change can start to happen. And I have had conversations like that in the past where it's like, I'm really bummed that we can't connect or that we can't get over this. Like, how can we fix this? And it ends up being very productive in the end. That vulnerability, when you're sharing your emotions with someone like that, you'll be surprised at how productive the conversation ends up being, because they're not going to shut you down and say like, oh my God, you're being so dramatic. They're going to say, yeah, I'm really bummed that this isn't working out too. And then you can kind of open up the line, like, what can we do about this? How can we be productive?
I like that, because now they can give you ideas. This is how I like to be approached. Or maybe I don't like when you are approaching this situation in front of everybody, so I prefer this. So you might be making some mistakes that you don't realize, and maybe this is the opportunity for you to learn from this team member. Again, everything is an opportunity. So I like that approach. And yes, being vulnerable. If you see that there is a future where you guys can like each other, maybe just try with that vulnerability. But if you see that resistance, okay, we just have that direct conversation and say, okay, we're gonna, like, respect is a non-negotiable. I'm gonna respect you and you're gonna respect me. We're gonna continue working together. And
I've literally seen people who at first butt heads on the team and then ended up being best friends, because really the reason why they're butting heads is because they are so similar.
And that's the activity that we do during our coaching session. So it's very interesting, because yes, at the end it's like, oh wow, it's because we are so similar, because I'm acting and reacting when they do something. It is a beautiful discovering. If you don't have that exercise, or you've never done it with us before, like, honestly, just think about how I'm acting
how would you, if you saw yourself doing what you were doing to that person, how would you feel about yourself?
Yes.
That's kind of really what it is, but we do a little bit more visualizing and all that.
Yeah, that's how you're being perceived as well. So, but I think this is good.
Yes.
It is not easy. It's just, we want to, like, let you know that we know that it's not easy to work with somebody that we don't like. You know, like in the perfect world, we work with our best friends. But with our best friends, that's the perfect world. But again, these are opportunities for you to learn so much about different people and personalities as well. So take it on it and just be better, not just for that individual, but you know that it's going to help your team as well.
Yes. If you have any best practices yourself for either coaching someone that you're not really vibing with, or coaching someone or coaching people who aren't getting along, please let us know in the comments. Your knowledge is just as important as our knowledge as well. And of course, do not forget to subscribe to keep getting content from us at the LeadHer Lounge.
Yeah, see you next week, leaders.